Okay, yeah, so one other thing I want to mention. So I'm talking about Caribbean, yeah? Caribbean identities and this disassociation feeling, yeah, being Caribbean born, living in the UK. And so I've talked about the Arawaki. I've talked about, yeah, obviously you've got the African slave trade. I've talked about the Arawaki tribe and the Taino tribes, the indigenous tribes of the Caribbean, and the Mexican indigenous people of the Americas. I've talked about the Olmec tribe people of South Americas, and I was talking as well about this fascination I have with certain parts of history, and especially like that part of history that doesn't get talked about much. It's not taught in school, in UK schools, or I don't know about European schools. In the Western world, it doesn't get spoken about a lot, but things like, for example, the silk trade, the Ottoman Empire, the conquering of the Moors of Europe, the Byzantine era, all this sort of stuff. I don't really, even down to, the Spanish Inquisition and the, what do you call it? The Knights Templars, how they must have went to Jerusalem and took a lot of the artifacts and stuff like that, and I don't know, brought them somewhere, such and such a place. Yeah, all this part of history. I really don't know too much about Marco Polo. All this part of history, I really don't know too much about it, and I'd really like to start learning more about it. But I think it has some links with the Jewish people that got expelled from Israel around these times, because I've read up a little bit about this sort of stuff, but my knowledge on it is really not that deep. And I'd really like to deepen my knowledge about this sort of thing. About when the Jews, after the crucified Jesus, the Roman Empire conquered Israel, something like this, and then that's when the Jews, they had to be expelled, didn't they, out of Israel, whatever, and a lot of them ended up going to other parts of the world. Like they had to, and a lot of them had to cover their identity that they are actually Jewish in order to integrate and assimilate into the countries that they ended up in. So, for example, some of them ended up in European parts, some of them ended up in Africa. I don't know, they ended up all over the place. And yeah, this kind of knowledge of history I'd like to learn about a lot more, to demystify it, because it's all it's all a bit of a big mystery. So I'd like to learn about actually what was happening and what was really going on, in order to demystify it and bring it into the real. And one of the reasons why this part of history, in terms of in the West, it has been mystified. It is like a big mystery, because when we have the Bible, yeah, and we had the Bible is a chronology of time, and when we get to the New Testament, obviously it comes to a certain point of that chronology of time, and there were 400 years of slavery, as well as there has been 400 years unaccounted for in the biblical texts. And another video I watched, which a lot of these videos where I'm getting my knowledge from, where I'm getting my information from, I'm going to put the links to these videos in the description soon, after I upload these videos. So one of these videos I was watching of this guy who was researching and looking into this thing of the Apocrypha, the books of the Bible that have actually been taken out of the Bible, the ones that were not included into the Bible. And he was looking into and researching, well, why were they not included in the Bible? And he came to that conclusion that these books that were taken out of the Bible were the actual books that proved they were documenting that chronological history period of time of the 400 years that the Jews went into captivity and were enslaved. And he came to that conclusion that these books, there's one such as the Maccabees, the book of the Maccabees, is actually referencing and talking about the slaves that were taken out of Africa and ended up on the American continent as the slaves during African slave trade. And the people that ended up on that continent are actually the original Israelite Jews. And this is the reason why, out of all people on the world and the planet, why is it, that black people are just looked down on so much? Why we're just so disrespected and not treated good, and just totally everything to do with our history and our culture. And as I was saying before, like anything that we've ever contributed, anything that we've ever invented, why is it just so hidden and ignored? And not only just black people, not only just African people, but especially American, they call them Negroes, the American Negroid race of people. Why are they just so divided by the rest of the world? You really have to think about it. Like, what is the reason? Like, what on earth did these people, what did we do to the rest of the world? That the rest of the world just divides us and mocks us so much. You really have to question and put 2 and 2 together and come out with 4, There must be obviously something in it. There is really something that whoever, canonized the Bible and took out its 400 years of history from the Bible, they obviously did that for a reason, because they didn't want certain people they were keeping certain information hidden. And they were keeping certain parts of information hidden from certain groups of people, keeping it all to themselves. So you really have to obviously there must be some sort of correlation. When you really think about it, there has to be some sort of correlation. Like, think about it, like there was 400 years of slavery, okay, and also there's 400 years of history that we can't really that hasn't been accounted for. Really think about it. Obviously, there must be some correlation between the two. Yeah, so as I said, I'm gonna end this video. Check out the rest of the series of the videos to get a broader context of what it is I'm talking about. Thanks for watching. Like the video, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, share the video and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye bye.